Good morning. Welcome to Requisite Network. Friend, you know we have organized series of lecture on social work, and yesterday we discussed the management of development organization, how NGO evolved, how the role has changed over the years, starting from charity to empowerment, advocacy. So we have seen the entire picture how NGO is contributing in the society, and number of NGO has come up in the last last 1 century, you can say, even starting from 1947 to till date, how its role has undergone a magnificent change. We have seen in the yesterday lecture. Today we are going to discuss how an NGO could be registered and could be managed. And for discussion on this very topic, we have introduced same resource person, Dr. Sanjay Bhatt. He is a professor of social work in the Department of Social Work in University of Delhi, and member of different organizations. He is also executive member of NGO Forum ADV, Asian Development Bank. So I think his knowledge and experience will help us to understand this topic, how to register an NGO and manage an NGO. So on behalf, I welcome him for Requisite lecture on this topic. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Welcome, viewers. In last lecture, we have discussed the background of the NGOs, how NGOs evolved, what is the concept of charity and how it has been managed, and how the changing face of voluntary sector and changing voluntary action has taken in India. Today we are focusing on two aspects of the NGO which are very much in demand and which may help you to understand how to manage a NGO, and before that how to register a NGO. So registration of NGO, and once NGO is formed, how to manage this, what are the minimum requisites, what are the aspects which one should be considering while running a NGO. Now initiating a NGO for any social cause based on a thought to your mind or to your friends or to the like-minded person, and once you plan to form an NGO, what you have to be clear in the mind that what you want to do, what is the cause, what areas you want to discover or serve the people. Is it a service NGO? It is going to be an research NGO, it is going to be an advocacy NGO, it is going to be a welfare NGO. What is the mandate, what you want to do? And this must proceed with some kind of formal and informal discussion among the like-minded people, those who are coming to form this non-governmental organization. And once you have an idea that we want to do this, we have to set the two things in the motion. What is your vision? What will be the vision of your NGO? What will be the mission of your NGO? Vision may be much wider and mission may be the part of your vision. And out of this mission, certain goals which you would like to achieve in time to come. So vision, mission, goal. Setting vision, mission, goal of your organization is very important. Along with that, what is more important is fixing values, that your NGO or your organization will have certain values. Values of transparency, values of accountability, values of participation, where you want to put your NGOs into the public domain, and what will be the guiding values of your organization which will run this NGO into the motion. Then of course we have to discover also the locating action field, what action we would like to take or we would like to go. So selecting locale, the area and the target groups with whom you are going to work. Now this will set the ball rolling once you have decided to form an NGO. Now you can start an organization without registering it. It can be unregistered for some time, but it is always better to have a legal status of a NGO. And registration of your development organization entities should be formed or registered under laws such as, there are 3 laws in the country: Societies Registration Act 1860, which is one of the oldest, the Public Trust Act 1882, and the Companies Act 1956, and where there is a exemption under section 25 as a non-profit company. So NGOs are also called non-government organization. They are non-profit organization where the profit is not the motive and profit is not being taken by the people. Now there is this registration gives, what are the benefit of this registration is that it gives us an identity of a legal person. Legal person means that your NGO is good enough in the eyes of law to sue anyone, and it can be sued by anyone. So this is a legal entity, and this legal entity gives you benefit, lot of credibility, reliability. Now one should understand that these are the 3 ways. Charity is a state subject. So charity being a state subject allows different states in India to have the separate acts to govern and regulate the charitable organizations. For example, Maharashtra are governed by the Bombay Public Trust Act, while Madhya Pradesh has an act of 1951. Rajasthan, Gujarat and many other states have a minor variation with the Bombay Public Trust Act. In certain southern states like Andhra Pradesh, there are Endowment Act, while a number of northern and northeastern state India have no trust act. But the Public Trust Act, the registration can be done. So the Societies Registration Act is an All India Act with each state adopting with certain modifications. The modifications in their rule, how to register, how to operate, and what are the conditions and what are the requisites for registration, like that. Very interestingly, in Maharashtra and Gujarat, all societies which are registered under Societies Registration Act must also be registered as a trust under the Bombay Public Trust Act and with the Charity Commissioner. Now, as I told you that there are 3 entities, society under Societies Registration Act, trust under Charitable Trust Act, and non-profit company under Companies Act. Now here I will give you a comparison between the society and trust, what we should make and how it is beneficial. All 3 are non-profit organization, but I am giving you comparison here of the 2, and most of the things in Companies Act I will explain little later. Not for the profit organization where a member have a common interest, they can form the society, and same with where the purpose is charitable, you can form the trust. So either of you can choose. The document which required, the main instrument which is, it is a memorandum of association for society, and it is called trust deed for the trust. Now 7 or more members can make a society. Minimum requirement is of 7 members for registering a society, while in a trust you can register it with the 2 trustees. There can be 2 trustees, and you can add trustees later on the invitation. So suppose I and my friend has made a trust and I want to invite you as a trustee, we can invite you as a offer, and trustees have no, they can be for life also, I mean they can, while these members, those who are requiring for forming NGO, these are for the limited time. The governance is being done by a general body where all the members in a society are considered the members of the general body, and general body will elect a executive committee including office bearers. So office bearers mainly president, secretary, treasurer, somewhere vice president also, and then other executive members. So 7 members are required. They can be nominated as one of them may be elected as a president or secretary. But in the trust, there can be one managing trustee or all are trustees. So there is no differentiation. But according to trust deed, to whom it has been entrusted the task of doing this. Trust comes from the word trust, the confidence, the faith. So some money has been taken and put it in as an account and created a trust, and out of which the activities are being taken. Who can be a member is determined by the rules in the society, And in the trust can be run by benefit of the beneficiaries. Anybody who has been nominated in the trust deed or mentioned in the trust deed will be the trustee. There can be also rules who can be also engaged as a trustee in future, that can be put up into the trust deed. Executive committee is accountable for governance and decision making, and on behalf of the executive committee and general body, the president, secretary or office bearers act. Well, trustees are accountable to the trust or beneficiaries, and they have to comply the conditions of the Trust Act. Now, liability as far as a society has a limited liability, and limited liability means that it is not for their own profit, and trustees are not liable unless they fail to comply with the rules and regulations. Now, every society or trust has to be, account has to be audited, and it has to be audited by a chartered accountant at the end of the financial year, and this has to be presented before the general body. It has to be approved and by the general body and executive committee. Profit either in society or trust cannot be distributed among the members. Even when we are going to wind up the society or trust, the profit cannot be distributed or assets cannot be distributed in the members. They can be transferred to a similar organization or maybe as decided by the general body members. In accordance with this, it has to be decided. Registering authority in case of a society is a registrar societies, and in case of a trust it will be the district magistrate or DM and SDM office where it can be registered. There is a trust deed, the rules, and it will be executed on the stamp paper, while the societies there is no rules and regulation has to be put up on the stamp paper. So, it is more flexible. What has to be submitted every year by a society to the registrar societies is the list of the executive members, the annual report, somewhere is the annual fees, somewhere the fees is taken for 5 years, the audited statement of account every year, and same true with the trust also, but this is quite loose in a structure, not many organizations are submitting, and of course it is legally required. In Companies Act you can't escape. In Companies Act, if you don't submit your minutes, even minutes of the body, board of directors, and the audited statement of account and annual report, you are liable to pay the fine. So, if you look at the society, trust and companies, I will say society is more flexible, it is more democratically governed, where the number of people are involved, many number of people, 7 or more or even 100 or 200, as depends, as you have opened this society for general body members, as per your membership clause, which has to be mentioned in memorandum of association. Trust may be restricted to the trustees, there may not be any general body or something like that. So, trust is a trust business and it is limited to the certain people. Company, it can also be initiated by the 2 directors, 2 or more directors. They will be called the board of directors, and it has to be registered as a company. Later on, the exemption under section 25 will make it will give it a status of a non-profit company, and there is a more strict rules and regulations regarding submission and returns of the paper to the registrar companies. So, one can see that there are, I have already explained you why to register, why not a unregistered organization can work. It has a several advantages. It gives you credibility, it gives you reliability, it gives you a corporate identity, I told you the legal person, and for taking grants from the government or from any other organization, many a times they require the registered body which have its bank account, which have its registered office, which has its office bearers. And when we have to go in the process of registration, the registration has to be done with the society's registrar, and this power of the society's registrar in different states are being given differently, and like in Delhi now, in every district there is a person who has been designated who will register the NGO. In UP there are 4 or 5 zones based on the commissionary where they have been to. So the intent of registration is to be prepared in form of a memorandum of association or article of association, followed by bylaws, rules and regulation. There are complexities in registration, varies state to state. In certain states it is very easier to make the government, make the NGO, while in certain states it is little difficult to, there are little complexities. We will come back what documents you have to require. This is a general that registration is required for the societies. And you know, at different level there is a different government operates. Like state government has a power to register an NGO, while the income tax is common to all 3 entities under section 11 and 12. Income tax department of central government deals with societies, trust and companies equally. They treat it as equally, all 3. Similarly, FCRA, if somebody want to go in a foreign contribution, it has to be at the Home Ministry Affairs, and grants may be from the state government also, and maybe from the central government also, maybe from the corporate, maybe from the foundations, maybe from the foreign countries, donors. So registration is required. Now I will come very practical aspect of registering a society. So far I told you that you have a vision, mission, goals, you have fixed up the values, you have selected the name, you try to find out whether what name is available, and remember that the name should not exist earlier. You cannot make a society with the same name which is already existing. So at number of societies registrar office there is a process of searching. They search the name that it does not carry. You can also not have certain words like India, Indian, which gives an idea that it belongs or created by the government. You cannot use the national invalum. You cannot use the name which confuses with the government department. So the whole idea is that one is not taking advantage of the flexibility of choosing the name of a society to make a fraud or to deceive the people. So this memorandum of association has to be prepared in duplicate with rules and regulation, and there need to be an affidavit in which the ownership and NOC has to be obtained from the owner for a registered office. Every society will have a registered office, and for that office address one has to produce a certificate of ownership and no objection certificate. Suppose you want to open a NGO in my house and I am the owner of house, I have to give that declaration that I have no objection if this NGO is being operated from my house and it has its registered office, and I am a legally owner of this premise. So you can't do it like that, that you open an NGO in somebody's house without his consent or without his knowledge. So affidavit has to be given, and this affidavit has to be attested by the notary, and it has to be put up by the seal also, and the number of notary also. You know, it has a foolproof system in that way. There is another affidavit has to be given by those 7 desirous persons that they are not related to each other. That means a family of 7 people cannot make an NGO. These 7 people should come from the different families, or they should not be related to each other, or not more than 2 members should be related to each other. That declaration has to them, and this declaration has also to given that name of the society is not identical or resembles to any other registered or unregistered organization or society, and that affidavit has also to be attested by a notary. Now the residential proof and identity proof of all 7 people, those who are forming society, that has to be given. If they have a PAN number, then it has to be given PAN number, otherwise whatever Aadhaar card, voter card, ration card, where their photograph and name is being given, that has to be given, and it has to be attested by a gazetted officer with a proper seal. that these are the correct papers. I have also told you that registration where when you have to give ownership of proof, it should be either in form of electricity bill or a water bill or a house tax receipt or property registration document that will prove that I am the owner of this house. So, these are the requisite documents of that. Well, you require little lesser document for the trust. In trust, a trust deed has to be prepared and it has to be registered with the SDM, and this trust deed has to be certified by the notary. But here the two trustees, those who are making it, the trust, their whereabouts has also to be verified, like their I-card, their identity proof and other things, that has to be submitted, and it is much easier. It requires very minimal fees. You can go to the office and where the trust is being created. You can talk to a lawyer also. There is a almost a set pattern of language for creating the trust. Now, I will also speak about how to form a company. The formation of a non-profit company is with the Companies Act, and there is a process that you have to give an application to the registrar companies, what we call searching of the name. The name should not also be the single, like you can't say Akanksha. Akanksha doesn't speak anything about the non-profit company. It may be Akanksha Associates, it may be Akanksha Akanksha developers or Akanksha consultant. It should be like two names, and it should not be duplicate. Then you have to pay the fees for searching this name, and then you will be given a that this name is available, and the availability of name, after that you have to prepare the document which will speak out how the capital, what is the capital of this company, the capital amount, that the company is being opened with 1 lakh capital amount, the shared amount, the 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs, and you have to pay fees on to the registering a company variable as much as share value or the capital value of the company you are planning. Suppose you say I want to create this company by 10 lakhs capital value, then you have to pay the equivalent to the 10 lakhs. There should be also at least 2%, and process is equal to registering a company, that you intend to register a company. So, these are the objectives of your company, these will be the activities of your company, what kind of activities it will do, that you have to explain. So, sometimes when you go to form a company like for a advocacy purpose, it becomes very difficult to explain to the registrar that what will be my activities. If you write that I will do my company will do dharna, or it will make the strike before the government, the registrar companies do not understand, because they understand that company is going to produce this or sell this or get the profit out of it, and so it becomes very difficult for a non-profit company to convince the registrar or registering authority that what are those activities which your non-profit company will be doing. After the company is formed, then you get an exemption. You have to apply for an exemption under section 25, that the company will be non-profit in character. The moment you get the non-profit character, that means the profit cannot be distributed in the directors. That directors, I mean, it is easier. It takes around 20 to 25,000 to make a company. While you want to make a society, it may require only 1,000 rupees, and if you want to make a trust, it will require 500 rupees to 1,000 rupees. But for a company, sure that you have to pay the fees for every step, searching name, to the registration fees, to the getting the help or services of a chartered accountant, for not being rejected your document or article. So, somewhere it comes around 20 to 25,000 rupees, between 15 to 25,000 rupees you mean minimum required for a company. Now, this is how the registration process is looks, and it looks very simple, that 7 people can form company, but who those 7 people are, that is very important. Now, the second aspect is what we call the managing an NGO. How we can manage an NGO and what are the management issues relating to an NGO. The management issues relating to an NGO is the One is the governance, decision making processes. There are bodies like executive committee, I told you, general body. So general body has its own responsibility. Each member who has been admitted as a member will constitute a general body, and it is a supreme body. Out of general body, there is a process of election. It's not selection. It's a process of election, and in election you elect the office bearer and the executive members who will represent on behalf of the general body. Now this all process has to be documented in form of a minutes, that today if meeting has been taken place by a general body, you have to have a general body register, you have to have a executive committee register, because once you get the certificate of registration, you require to keep these documents, because these documents are essential not only for your own record and memory purpose. These are legal documents and these are legally required by any NGO. So, I mean, when somebody has been elected, what is the tenure of election? It may be 2 years, it may be 3 years. Then after 3 years, again general body will elect. General body meets every year, at least once. It may be 2. Executive committee may meet more frequently, and there can be emergency meeting also. And there can be no decision, like I told you, binding up of decision of a society cannot be taken without the permission of a general body. So accounts, annual reports, election, binding up, all these issues are being dealt, all the members who have been the part of this NGO. It cannot be decided by secretary or president. Even there can be a requisition meeting. Suppose secretary or president for some selfish reason may not be calling a meeting. There is a provision that certain amount of the members, 30-40% or 2/3 or 1/3 can give in writing and can hold the meeting. So the office bearers, all office bearers have responsibility. Earlier people used to think that if you are a chairperson of an NGO, it's very easy. You are chairperson or president of a society or secretary of a society. But now everyone, president, secretary, treasurer, holds a legal responsibility also. It is not that decorative post where you are sitting. You are responsible and liable for all kind of a financial, legal compliance. You can't say that I have not filled up the register income tax. I have not submitted the income tax because my accountant has not submitted. It's secretary who is responsible. It's treasurer who is responsible, and he can be sued also. So it's not easy to become a secretary or treasurer of an NGO. Many people are secretary of 10 NGOs or treasurer of 5 NGOs or president of 20 NGOs. I think they should have a warning. I mean, that you should know that your organization and its governance and its finance and its accounts, its taxation, its records, all those purposes. Now RTI, you are also liable to give the information to suppose you have people sitting in your office, working in your office, you are liable to take their provident fund, you have to deduct their provident fund because you sign their check. So when I say that managing a NGO, I just give you the 5 areas where we can divide it, how to manage an NGO. 5 areas of concern. One, I was also talking of a internal democracy, the membership business, employees, funders, government, public. So how internally the organization is running. Somebody has applied for membership and you deny the membership to them. You can't do it unless there is a reason. Simply, second very important area of affairs is the programs. What programs we are running? They should be as per BMG. BMG, I mean vision, mission, goals. What for this organization has been created. It should not be on the like funders that you got fund today to do the HIV AIDS work. and you started doing HIV/AIDS work. Though your NGO was a research organization, it was supposed to do research on XYZ issues. There can be long-term plan, there can be short-term plan, there can be planned or unplanned programs, but you have to develop a calendar for a year. You have to do what kind of program this organization want to run and how these programs will be run, from where the fund will come, how this program will be executed or implemented. That is the second very important area. Third important area is managing human resources. Every organization have people, those who are working, either paid or unpaid. So you have to take care of them. Those who are a paid employee, they have certain requirement. So we will discuss the third major area as a human resource. Fourth is the finance, blood of any organization. I mean, if your organization, you want to run an NGO, you must think in terms of the finance. Not only finance, from where the finance are coming or receiving finance, but how you are making expenditure or how you are exhausting these finance, how you are utilizing these funds. So getting fund and making expenditure, both are a very important area of management. Fifth area is a public relation. I do not know whether public relation is the right word, but my idea of is that you cannot sit all alone and do the work, that you can say that, well, we are doing welfare and we have nothing to do, we do not go to the press, we do not tell anybody, we are doing because this is for Swanta Sukhai, for my own benefit or for my own pleasure. Good enough, but you have to keep these things into the public domain, because it is a public organization, it is not a private organization. It has been created with the desire of 5 people or created by a trust, or you have created as a company, non-profit company, you have dedicated it to the society. Now I will start from managing finance. This is finance is the, I told you, the blood of an organization. Bank account. The soon you have got the registration, finish the registration, you will get a registration certificate from Registrar Society declaring that your society has been registered as a, your organization has been registered as a society, this is the number of the society. Within 6 months of the registration, you have to open a bank account. And how to open a bank account, that will be written in rules and regulation and memorandum of your association, that who will operate the bank account. Single person cannot operate the NGO's account. So there need to be 2 or more than 2 persons. Secretary, normally secretary and treasurer, but in certain places there are president, secretary and treasurer, and at certain places there is an administrative officer and treasurer. It depends the type of organization. You also require to have a PAN number from income tax department, permanent account number, right. So PAN card has to be issued in your organization name, and that is what very important. If you have a company, then you have to have a TAN number, right. Even for 12A, under section 12A, you have to apply immediately for after getting registration within 6 months. You can apply within. You have to keep the accounts also in form of a voucher, ledger, or because you have to create balance sheet later on. It may be manually, or it may be nowadays digitally. There is a programs like Tally you can have on that, but you have to have vouchers to whom you have given. There are conditions, financial conditions, like a financial instrument like check. You cannot make all the expenditure in cash. If your amount is more than 20,000, you have to pay it by check. You have to pay it by account pay check. And if you are making a payment to someone for his services in one financial year of more than 70,000–75,000 rupees, you have to deduct the income tax over that. I mean, not only the deduct income tax over that, you have to deposit this income tax in the income tax department through your organization. and accordingly you have to issue the form 16 to the person to whom you have, suppose you are giving salary to employees, and people, when they fall in the category of income tax limit, this is your responsibility as an employer to deduct their income tax along with the salary and deposit it into the account. So it's the other important thing is the audit, internal as well as external. You can have if your organization is having enough finance moving out, you have an internal mechanism to audit it monthly or 2 monthly, bi-monthly or quarterly, depends on your fund flow, and at the end you have to appoint a chartered accountant in your executive committee meeting, and you have to get it audited. It has to be signed by a chartered accountant. The other managing finance is a tax exemption. You must have heard that you donate some money to an NGO and you can get benefit of a tax exemption. So that tax exemption is called under section 80G. 80G is of Income Tax Act, is a section which provides 50% amount donated by someone to an NGO, and that NGO must have received the sanction from the income tax department to collect the fund, to collect the donations. So the NGO has to issue a receipt called with a stamp and the details received from the income tax department. All NGOs do not have 80G. Now this tax exemption means that any donation giving to an NGO, the 50% of that can be exempted under section 80G, and same way as the 35AC is the another section of Income Tax Act where 100% money is being exempted. But for being qualified for 80G or 35AC, if you want to seek exemption, it cannot be soon you made a registration and soon you got the, you have to submit your 3 years of balance sheet, your activities, and then income tax officer or assessment officer will see whether your organization is doing charitable work, purposeful work, meaningful work. Only then he will grant you this permission to collect or receive the donations from the public or from anyone under section 80G. So it's not that easy. It has to be channelized through the income tax department, and of course there is a system, there is a application, there are requirements, and there is a huge requirement that your organization should be credible, it should have submitted, they can visit, they can see your organization also, how you manage. So certified copies of the balance sheet, audited statement of account, profit and loss account, income expenditure statement, balance sheet, that all has to be submitted. Now I said that even you have to pay the service tax on certain consultancy services if your organization is giving. If you are selling certain products at a huge level under your NGO, that will also attract the different taxation at the level. You can't say that. PF deduction, if your employees are, then the social security deduction you have to mandatory, you have to deduct it. Income tax you have to deduct it. And very interestingly, if you are getting the foreign fund, then you have to open a separate account. There are certain rules of the foreign funds under FCRA, and you can only get the foreign funds when you have a separate bank account and permission from Ministry of Home Affairs. FCRA is not governed by State Department or by Welfare Department, because normally NGO is considered related to the Social Welfare Department. No, it is being run by the Ministry of Home Affairs, not even by Ministry of Finance, because I told you earlier that the purpose of foreign contribution is to see that it is not creating internal disturbance. It is not being used for the anti-social or anti-national activities. It is, so the Ministry of Home Affairs manage and they collect the fund. You can have the prior permission from Ministry of Home Affairs, inform that so and so organization from such and such country want to give us donation or fund for running my activities, therefore I need a prior permission. That is normally granted for 1 year or on the basis of a project. But if you apply for getting a FCRA, you are given a FCRA number and it has been created. You can go on the website of Ministry of Home Affairs, there is a proforma, online proforma you can fill up and you can wait for that, and it's not easy to get an FCRA because managing foreign funds is a big deal with the government. Now I come to the managing HR. HR means human resources. In any organization you have two kinds of people, paid people and unpaid people. And when I say unpaid people, largely I mean by volunteers, interns, those who are coming to work at their own will to your organization, but you have a certain people you have been engaged them. So what is required by any NGO to prepare HR policy, like a finance policy which you require to deal the finance. So you should have a human resource policy. When I say human resource policy, it should be from recruitment to retainment to the retirement, 3 R's. All the 3 R's have to be involved, that how a person will be recruited, what kind of a DA will be given, what kind of a benefit will be given, what kind of house rent will be given, what kind of a medical benefit. Then we have also explained conditions of work and working conditions. When I say conditions of work, it means the leaves, how many leaves in a year, the medical benefit, the bonus or the perks or the facilities, whether employees will be entitled to travel, so what kind of a travel allowance he will get. All this is required to be explained. So NGO is not something that you have opened it and you start doing it. Most of the NGO have a project based work, project for 6 months or 9 months. So many they engage the people for short term, and there is no permanent employment in some of the NGOs. But now major NGOs, bigger NGOs, I told you that they have a permanent employment, there is a permanency. So this have also employee relations issues, employer relations issues, like dispute is there, somebody has been disciplinary action, the policy of the sexual harassment, the policy of the voluntary retirement, LTC, all those kinds have to be explained by the managing HR. Now I will go to the managing PR, public relation. I told you in the beginning why public relation is a very important function, that it is all about not a publicity. There is a difference between publicity and public relations. It is about informing and involving all stakeholders, your beneficiaries, your funder, government, local administration, police, the people in and around. You are working in an NGO, your NGO is working from one particular your registered office and nobody knows nearby. It's not good. People should know that there. Other than there is needs of a documentation, monitoring and evaluation of your program, reporting, annual reports, number of things. Another very important thing is the networking with the government. If you recall, in my earlier lecture, I was trying to tell you that GO-NGO partnership, government-NGO partnership. I also talked about the national policy on voluntary sector. Now, an NGO can register with Planning Commission. There is a website www.ngo.india.gov.in. You go on that and there is a NGO partnership scheme. You register the details of your NGO and you will be automatically linked with the different ministries. Around 8 to 10 ministries programs will be given only to the people, those who are registered under the partnership scheme. That means government has your enough data to check, to verify. It is an issue of accountability. The government is also accountable and you are also accountable to the government. Very recently, Ministry of Social Justice have issued a letter that they have asked that NGOs willing to avail the services, the programs which are run by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, 7-8 program, assistance to the voluntary organization working for OBC, assistant to voluntary organization working to SC. They said now you have to apply online. It will not be that whole year application can be taken. So now this is what we call sharing, networking with the people. That is what the part of, and it requires, you should know what kind of the similar kind of activities are taken up by other NGOs in your area. That is very essential. So I think that public relation should not be seen as a publicity, but public relations should be seen that you want participation of many people. Even SHO of your area should know what you are doing. It is always beneficial to keep them in a loop. Not saying with the arrogance that why should I go to the police department and tell that this is I am doing. No, they should know that tomorrow if there is something wrong goes on, something happens, at least the department knows that you are working there. So this is what we call the managing PR. If I go a little bit more on the part of this, that what we are doing, managing an NGO is not a simple thing, it is a very complex thing. I am sure that after listening me, there will be many people who will be very clear how to register an organization and how to manage an organization. At the same point of time, many people will be finding it very difficult because I have put up too many things to them, but this was only tip of the iceberg. I am giving you with a practical experience that these things are required to run a successful NGO. NGO is not a personal shop. It is a public organization which is in a public domain. You are not doing anything for your own personal benefit. You are doing it for the larger people for whom you have created this organization. So non-governmental organization is, of course, these are people's organization, of course, these are for non-profit, of course, these are working for the people, but they employ the people, and you may be also one of the employee of that. So there is enough reasons for running an NGO.
Okay. So as you talked about about FCRA, many organizations, they need to first open an account and apply on the Ministry of Home because they open the FCRA account. Only then they should receive the foreign fund. Without that, this is a criminal offence.
Yes.
If there is certain kind of limit that this much amount you can.
No, there is no limit as far as money is concerned.
Okay.
But
about the nationality, suppose some are non-resident Indian, if they want to give some kind of donation, so is that possible, or that is also required to go through the
individual
FCRA?
Donations coming from an NRI or from any relatives can be received by organization, but it has to be intimated.
Okay.
It has to be brought. But funding for a program or grants from an organization or any kind, I mean, what has been said, it's called FCRA, foreign contribution.
Okay.
Now, what is the NGO sector is demanding? They were saying that for the profit sector, that means for the companies, you are inviting the foreign money. But for the social sector, for non-profit sector, you are restricting the people entry into the giving the contribution.
Okay. So a kind of check that they can't start propagating something, they can't start their own agenda in
That's right.
other
I mean,
territory.
basically when this act was formulated, it was during the emergency, and Mrs. Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, has this kind of fear that there will be money will be floated from the other countries to make the country destabilize, political destabilization. But what we were saying that if you have a rules and regulations to fund what we are talking nowadays FDI, foreign direct investment. I mean, why foreign direct investment cannot be in a social sector? If there are companies, those who want to make the investment into the social sector, this should be also thought of. I mean, I am not saying that you allow it immediately, but at least we can talk and work out the nitty-gritty of working on the foreign contribution.
Yeah, in a way, in changing times, we need to give a rethink over this.
So that is why I have divided it largely in 4 or 5 issues. I have not talked anything about the program, how to develop the program or how to get the project. That's a very separate, complete new issue. project planning, project development, project implementation, project evaluation, project monitoring. That's a complete branch of when you work in an NGO and when we'll execute the project. So developing a proposal or developing a project to executing a project to evaluating a project and to see whether this has benefited or not is again one major area of NGO.
And that is more of knowledge, more of a skill than a knowledge.
Right. That has to be developed through. So you need the expert people.
Okay.
You know, it's very easy to say that we will make the self-help group.
Right.
But question how to make a self-help group is a very big question.
Yes.
Everywhere when you will put how, you will require the skills for that.
Right.
So NGO is full of how, and I tell you, the working with people is not simple. It looks that I work with the people. I mean, large number of people you are working without knowing them, without knowing their needs, without knowing their aspirations, without knowing their problems. It's not possible. So many NGOs, when they start program at their own, their program gets flopped. Unless the program is meant for the people to whom you are going to serve and it is in sync with their needs and problems, this will not work.
Okay.
So program area is another area which I have not touched in a great detail, but I have given you a sketch how to register first and how to manage an NGO.
So well friends, today we wind up the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture, and on behalf I thank Dr. Sanjay Bhatt for giving such an insightful lecture on this very topic. Thank you very much.